Whoa! What's going on, everybody? Thanks for joining us. Netrunner Wednesdays. Obviously, you're here. Bad publicity. Or, obviously, you're catching it at a later time and date. Either or, thank you very much for tuning in. Because, you know we appreciate it. Small change to the schedule tonight. We are going to bump our ID episode to a later date. We were going to be talking about Asmari EdTech tonight, the new MBN one from Council of the Crest, but we're going to move it. We're going to dive into some of the new cards from a Devil and a Dragon, for those Devil and Dragon fans. So that is what we're doing. For those of you who actually watched this in order from what we said last week, there is no ID episode tonight. That's going to get bumped. And we got the runner cards on deck. Fellas, what's going down with you guys?
Doing good, man. Got on a little store casual Netrunner sesh with these new cards this past Sunday with the guys here in Athens, Georgia, and had a really cool time trying out a couple of these new cards. So looking forward to talking about those.
Hollis.
I decided that I was going to try working out for a week. No, no, I've refocused a lot of my energy on like exercise and a good healthy diet, because I feel like as a young guy working in the tech industry, I have to take better care of myself. But let me predict the future. It's probably going to be me playing a lot more games as opposed to taking care of myself and restarting this process again in 6 months. So for the time being, I'm just enjoying a whole bunch of board games, enjoying Netrunner, enjoying new movies, anticipating the Avengers Infinity War movie. It's a lot.
Yeah,
a lot of things.
Definitely, man. Definitely. You got to get out of your chair, walk around, and make sure you switch over to Michelob Light. Michelob Light is a proud sponsor of Android Netrunner. Bad publicity.
Got there.
Wow.
Quality.
Yeah.
It's what we do. Uh-oh. Hollis disappeared.
Well,
No, already? We just started.
there goes the quality. Straight downhill.
There we go.
It's like, we're out. These guys are amateurs.
Yeah. It's Facebook. Blame Facebook.
Blame Facebook?
Blame Facebook, man.
All right. Mr. Zuck, what do we got on deck here? What's number one? Let's get into this.
Let's dive into it. Well, maybe this happened to your data recently. This is Glut Cipher. It's Anarch 2-cost run event sabotage. Hold on to your data. 4 influence, and it's pretty interesting. You make a run on archives. All right. If successful, instead of accessing cards, you force the corp to choose 5 cards from archives and add them to HQ if able. Then trash that many cards from HQ at random. So, important rules clarification up front. The if able means that if there are fewer than 5 cards in archives when you try and trigger this effect, the runner doesn't access any cards and the corp doesn't add any cards from archives to HQ and doesn't trash any cards. So the prerequisite is you need those 5 cards in there, and then this goes off, corp draws up, and then they trash down. Fellas?
Well, I'm glad you clarified it up for the people that thought it was just has to do with their 5-card hand limit.
Well, that, or I could see some people getting confused that no matter how many cards are archives, you always trash cards from hand, and like that would be insane. This is way less insane than that, but it's still a pretty disruptive effect, right?
Yes, I think so. But I mean, okay, so I do think it's disruptive. I very much dislike that. You have to wait a little while. You know, it takes a little bit of effort for this to work, but I kind of feel like when this does fire, in general, we've seen it. Discarding cards at random from the corpse hand can be absurdly good, but in turn, when you think about what's going to be pitched into archives, I can't help but think you're going to end up with a fair amount of like burst economy that inevitably gets recycled back, which while it's worth hitting agendas, obviously, that can backfire hard when you're recycling burst economy back into the corp's hand. You know what I mean? Like that just seems like that could be disastrous even.
Right. Or even worse, cards like hard-hitting news or consulting visit, right? That they've used these powerful effects, and you're like, oh,
right
back in there. Sometimes ice too. Like sometimes you overdraw, and you're like, well, I've already got some ice. I could toss this one, and then I don't know. I think at its best, right? It'll maybe snipe you an agenda or two, and or if a deck has a very specific combo of cards in HQ, it could disrupt that. But it's kind of random, right? So I don't know. Is it worth the gamble? Is my question.
That's tough.
I don't think so. I think that this this is a card that kind of, well, if you're a casual player and just playing with fun, this is where I feel like this card is sitting right now. Unless we see something come along down the line that's going to be a lot more of a combo piece. But every once in a while we get these cards in Netrunner that are really cool, but just never catch on or never see a competitive play. I really thought like so an example of this would be Showing Off, right? Like nobody really played that, but it was a cool effect. So there's cool effects in Netrunner that never make it into a competitive play style, just because I feel like this card is so flip of the coin. Maybe there's a chance that you could cause some kind of wacky disruption, but I feel like most of the time, you look at what a corp is mulliganing for opening hand, what they're trying to set up for, what they're playing early enough is those quick economy boost cards, or they're ditching cards that they want back later. Corporations put recursion in their deck for a reason, and now this card is basically, I feel you're more helping the corp than you are disrupting them. It's a little bit wacky, some kind of archive interface, not archive interface, record reconstructor style stuff. It's just stuff that it seems cool, but I don't know if it's ever going to find its full niche. The effect is definitely anarchy enough to I guess pop the influence just in case, to be like, hey, let's play it safe. But I'm not seeing the big picture with the old G-Scythe.
So you mentioned niches. I'll point you to two niches, which I'm not saying they're good, but I'm saying that they exist for this card, which is interesting. One of them is if you're already running Corporate Defector, which is a card that I play against every so often, and actually that card is kind of annoying because you can't really draw up if you need to as a corp. So if they're hitting you with Maw or other disruption effects, you're like, shoot, well, if I start drawing, they're going to know what I draw. And once you see the corp draw one agenda, two agendas, and you know for a fact that agendas are sitting in HQ and they haven't been installed yet, okay. Then a card like this actually becomes not as much of a gamble. Like, clearly it is still random, but at least you know for sure that agendas are part of that mix now, right? So that's my one thought there. The other thought is based on a conversation we had a couple weeks ago when we talked about the card Crypt. When we talked about Crypt, one thing we said was, hey, if you're running a style, maybe you're out of Alice or some other ID that is already going to archives anyway, stacking archives effects on top of each other might not be a bad thing. Like, even if each of those effects is kind of subpar, if you're doing and getting all of those triggers in one run, okay. Maybe you take a look at that. Maybe you think, well, shoot, I'm going to archives. Like, hit him with a Glut Cipher. Why not? So those are my only two thoughts on like where this card could maybe see a home in decks. But that's about it.
I'm gonna give you a high five on that one. I'm gonna give you a high five for trying.
Just using my thinking brain. I'm not saying I'm going to play it. I'm not saying anybody's going to play it. But hey, if you feel like playing it, here's how you might use it. Just a thought.
I'm with that. Okay.
Cool.
I appreciate that.
Hey, there you go. Alrighty.
So
the artwork,
does that also mean that you feel like you're not going to see it and you're kind of agreeing with my points?
Oh, yeah. Oh, totally. I agree with you 100%. I'm just saying, check out these synergies that are still not amazing, but they're synergies. So enjoy, jank players.
For whatever it's worth. Oh,
no,
I think this art looks awesome.
Oh yeah, for sure.
This is cool.
Put that on a playmat.
Yeah,
give me that playmat.
This looks pretty cool to me. I dig it.
Rock on.
But I dig the art, not the card.
All right.
Yeah, you can have.
Moving on, fellas.
You can have all of it, Hollis. This one's yours then.
All right, let's move on to an NR card that I predict will see play, and this is Knobkierie. Oh snap! It's a console hardware, 5 install, 3 influence. It says use the MU on Knobkierie only for virus programs. It's got 3 MU. 3 MU. It says the first time you make a successful run each turn, you may place 1 virus counter on an installed virus program.
Oh wow.
Hello, Grimoire.
I was just gonna say, didn't this card get rotated out?
Where you been, buddy? Yeah. So it's like a pricier, less immediate Grimoire, but it gives you that MU. It's cool, and the art's cool. Like, I think this is a stellar card. If viruses are your game, like, I'd take a good look at Knobkierie because I think it could be a staple of that style of Anarch for quite a while.
You throwing it to me next, Hollis?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
I fully agree. I think this is basically, maybe you could have looked at something like this and done a little historic throwback and just called it like a Grimoire 2.0 or a Grimoire revised or some kind of way back playback. But this is what they've done again. Like I've said in the past, for me, I believe it's the cleanup cards that rotated out that still had cool core Netrunner mechanics built into them. What they're doing is just rebalancing them for the betterment of the game. Obviously, this is along the lines of more what we're seeing for consoles nowadays, being a little pricier than what they used to be. Grimoire was 3. This card is now 5. This card has a little more influence, so it's it's potentially can be moved in and out of faction, but you're gonna have to kind of play with the numbers a little bit, and it's doing a lot more. And I really like the balance effect of the MU only being for virus programs. That kind of controls its power just a bit, but what we're seeing here is all these viruses coming, this new next gen virus wave in Netrunner, and this is going to be such a powerful card for putting all that together. The first time you make a successful run each turn, you may place 1 virus counter on an installed virus card. That's not because Grimoire was whenever you install a virus program, so it got 1. This has got potential to spin something up and really get something going. So really makes me nervous, a card like this, because they're gonna really have to control. Like, all it's gonna take is the wrong virus to really make this connection and OP this, like a combo like this. So, but I have faith. I have faith in the playtest team. I have faith in the design team and what Boggs is coming, because I like it. But this could be almost that sleeper hit of the pack.
I really feel like it definitely feels like what they've done. just continuing. It feels like they like you said, Jameson, like you said, Alec, they took Grimoire, they retooled it, they actually made the ability, and what I actually think is that they made the ability better on it, and specifically geared it again to where the card is less universally good. I think we saw in some instances people using Grimoire even without a ton of virus support in some decks, just because they knew they could play key viruses like Imp at the time. If you look at more old school Netrunner, at the time you could play cards like Data Sucker and Imp, and those got an immediate benefit. You didn't have to go overboard with a whole bunch of other viruses. They had those cards were great by themselves, and you got this amazing 2 universal MU for 3 credits, which is just nuts. And now instead, what they like if you look at just purely just the base game, 2 MU for 3 is good, right? So now they've changed it to where, okay, now the MU has got to be specific to just using viruses. It's not going to allow you to do some really, really, really big, like, giant breaker thing like the duo breakers or anything like that, and basically have these very odd builds. It wants you to focus heavily on viruses, and it rewards you for running. Help me. I hate to sound incredibly dumb with timings of the run, but I mean, run is successful, you access. Correct?
So this is the same window, I'm pretty sure, as Data Sucker and Desperado, right? You get those, then you access.
And what's amazing to me is that means that you can do kind of funny stuff where it has nothing. You purged it or I've used it. It has nothing. You know what? I'll just make the run on this remote or this. Maybe I don't even really care about HQ, but I know that once it's successful because of this card, I get to nick some of your material away. So I just make the run. I'm in it pretty easily. Oh, well, I guess you don't need this hedge fund. I mean, like, those are the things that the flexibility I think you wanted to see out of Grimoire. And I feel like this ability is definitely more powerful than what Grimoire had previously provided. So I dig this. I dig this very much because it gives the runner that kind of flexibility to say, what's my most valuable virus in play and how do I want to utilize that? Very cool.
I do. And those are the ones that come to mind. I mean, if this was out old school, it would just be so broken. Imagine the ones that come into my head is like, obviously you're recharging imps, which is incredible value, and this is a hell of a lot easier to charge up the turtle.
Yo, that turtle is going to get real scary with this, because usually when you make that successful run with a turtle, even if it's just been purged, you get that first counter, and this gives you a second. All of a sudden, it's a 2-strength turtle with 1 run. And you're like, shoot, how do I keep this turtle out? It's too good. It's scary, man.
I like it.
The last thing I'll say about it is that even though the MU is only used for virus programs, and that can check it a little bit, I mean, obviously that's the synergy you're looking for. So, I mean, it's kind of a trade-off anyway, but I see why it's there, and I see why some people might say it doesn't need to be because you're pretty much going to use it with virus stuff anyway, but at least it holds some kind of sandbox restrictions loosely.
Yeah, I also want to point out in the chat, I thought Mao and Chris had a really cool point that hadn't occurred to me. If you just have a cache sitting on the board, you could use this to pop counter on the cache and immediately gain a credit. So how about that?
Yeah.
At the very least, this is 1 credit.
That's kind of crazy. Yeah.
And at its most, it's imp counter. Like that just blows my mind, right? Like imp counters are scary business. And,
that can be worth anything. It could be worth 5. It could be worth 3. It could be worth a card that you normally can't trash ever, right?
You really see that they're building ways into maybe to control asset spam style if it ever tries to make its move back. There's definitely no shortage of options that the runner can have to not let that get out of control like it once did.
Very powerful. Very powerful. Sweet. Well, thumbs up on that console. We're gonna see a fair bit of it, I imagine. Cool. Any other thoughts?
No, that was it from me.
Awesome card.
Awesome. All right. Speaking of awesome cards, the next one's 419. We are going to, I believe, save this ID for a future episode when we talk about it in more detail. But suffice to say, if you haven't tried out 419 yet, give it a try. It's good stuff. All right. Moving on to a related card. So 419 might come up in the conversation, of course, because this card is, relevant in that conversation. It's Falsified Credentials. This is a criminal 1-cost event, 2 influence. It says name a card type. Expose a card in a remote server, then gave 5 credits if the exposed card has the named card type.
Woo.
Oh, did you just install an agenda? Money. Oh, did you just install an asset? Money. Upgrade money. And that's pretty nice. I played with this card a couple days ago, and I was really a fan. It was pretty sweet.
I mean, the obvious, I know we're going to go into this more in detail when we actually get to the episode of 419, but the obvious synergy here is that, of course, 419 inherently allows you to expose cards the first time the corp installs a card each turn. So as the runner, on the runner side, you're going to, unless they pay 1. On the runner side, that means that you get, there's a very good chance at some point during the game, you're going to have some knowledge of what's installed. So a card like Falsified Credentials means that it straight up is probably going to just be a gain 4 in those types of decks. Mm. It's just gain 4 credits because you already have the knowledge.
For what?
Yeah, gain 5 for. I mean, it's pretty sick.
Mm-hmm.
And in general, I feel like even if you don't necessarily use 419, like you said, I think there's definitely going to be scenarios where, based on existing knowledge or knowledge you've gained, you can probably leverage enough of it to allow Falsified Credentials to be pretty good. Obviously way better with 419, but I think that we're in this very weird spot where there's going to be there's a lot more cards coming that lately allow you to advance and do things other than just simply be scored. Mm-hmm. And we're seeing even better cards that work out really good for never advanced concepts and strategies. So I think it may be a little hard to figure out exactly what's an agenda, what's not these days than it used to be. But I still feel like there's enough available knowledge on the runner side to where if you're playing, there's certain styles of play and other cards like Dam's card, Deuce is Wild, where you can get that information beforehand, and as a result, gain a huge advantage from it. In fact, I don't see why Deuce is Wild wouldn't be a pretty darn good pairing.
Well, I'm pretty sure Deuces says you expose a piece of ice, and
it's only installed.
Yeah,
it's remote server.
In a remote server is what it says on Falsified Credentials. So I don't think it's quite synergistic there, but
it's not as sexy. I would like it to be.
Yeah,
not as sexy.
We'll talk about Deuces with the next card, but yeah, on this
I'm in.
Yeah, you're on a good track here.
Hollis, for card type, I think you should call ice every time.
This is ice. It's Hollis is an asset. It's ice, damn it! Flip the card over.
You're cheating.
Get it, judge over.
Yeah,
that's how you check people are like not cheating during your game.
Yeah.
Like
that's right. You're like
installing ice face down and then overriding it. You're like,
so
I've never seen people do that.
Like,
so I think in the examples you're putting up, right? Like, it's nice to be able to use this to check things that are down at the bottom of some deep glacier server, right? Like to see whether or not you need to go down there. Even if you whiff on the type, at least you've seen it. Yeah. But I actually think this card is kind of sweet in matchups with a lot of unprotected remotes. Say they're running like Jeeves or DBS or Padding even, and those are just out there waiting to get rezzed. You run and check it, because sometimes you got to keep them honest on their remotes. You see it's a Jeeves. You go, all right, cool. I now know what it is. If they don't res it between the next click, you're like, cool, falsified, guaranteed, because you've just seen it. That works as well, right? So I think you're going to find that in most situations, this card is going to be of some benefit. And that bump getting you from 1 credit to 5, I think that's pretty meaningful out of criminal.
I would agree. I very much agree. I think anytime we see a recovery card like that, a recovery economy card that starts at 1 and allows you just to boost, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And at 2 influence, I don't know if it'll be actually moved to different decks, but it's not impossible. It's not impossible.
Yeah. Yeah. Jameson, you feeling the love?
I am, and I am and I ain't. I ain't.
Oh, he ain't.
I ain't. Do you think that? So I'll break that up with a little bit of comical humor and say, do you think you should get like maybe double the credits if you can name the subtype as well?
Ooh.
Come on, missed opportunity, right?
Triple the credits if you can name the flavor text.
Yeah, missed, right? Asset, ambush, 10 credits, go.
Upgrade, connection.
Yeah.
What?
That
would be insane.
I feel this is going to see play. I think, to me, I've talked about this stuff and the way that I used to build decks on the corporation side. That's how, like, these kind of cards. I know it's not a corp card, but this is like the whole recovery was really big for me. What happens if I had to spend all my money, or if I lost all my money, right? Back in the day, closed accounts, account siphon style stuff, the back and forth. How quickly can I get back up to a playable game state? So swing cards like this are, I think, really good. The second thing I really like about this card is the double effect. I've talked about that before, so we're nested here. You're exposing for a credit, and you know what? Maybe if you swing and miss, don't feel so bad, because you still got the expose effect, and we're now seeing expose effects combo with other things and other cards when cards are exposed. So I do like that. I do like the fact, again, it is a game, so maybe a little bit of randomness is important in a card game, but I feel the randomness is really controlled, because, I mean, what we're seeing right now, unless something changes, is basically you have the 3 choices. So you have most of the time, like, what would you say the safe bet is? Are we pretty much calling agenda most of the time? Like,
if it seems like a turn that they've got that scoring window, yeah. If it's advanced once, usually, maybe, yeah. If it's advanced twice, I don't know. I might name asset to try and sniff out an NGO. Like, that's a pretty powerful play.
Yeah, I agreed. And I guess I was thinking of more to give like a generic for like all player base is probably
sure.
best. But I think that obviously this card changes value in more of a skilled or knowledgeable player. So the more knowledge of the game you have and the ability to read board state, the better this comes. Right. So I'm really liking this card. It's really going to be at home in Criminal. 2 influence is a little bit iffy for me, because the question. So obviously thumbs up, good stuff. I really like it, and it serves its purpose very, very well. The question I have to pose to you guys is based on a scenario that you talked about, Alec, an unprotected server running. Let's compare Criminal Economy right now, because Bank Job did get saved. So Bank Job is a revised core set card, and it's the same thing, where you're able to play it and put it down for 1. Obviously, you're going to have people's minds start turning. What's the value of a click? Because I have to, are you going to evaluate the whole, I have to draw the card, I have to install the Bank Job, and then I have to find a way to get it. But what do you think, comparing this to Bank Job, since we're looking just in that scope of Criminal Economy here, and Bank Job did get saved to, so there must have been a reason. You guys have thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'd swing a little more in this card's favor, simply because I think this is relevant in both the Glacier and heavy asset spam matchups. Whereas I think Bank Job is a really hard install if they've only got one heavily protected remote, which is becoming a little more popular these days. So yeah, you get a little more credit gain, but I almost think the information here is kind of, in some situations, priceless. Like, sounds a little cheesy, but knowing whether or not to make key runs and maybe open yourself up to retaliation, like, that's pretty worthwhile. So I don't know. Bank Jobs just seems a little less consistent across the matchups.
For me, I think for me, it just happens simply to do with, if I was looking at, like, overall all criminal factions, right, all criminal decks that could be played, I feel like 419 is good enough by itself. Not going to go into too much detail, but I feel like it's good enough by itself. And knowing that, it means that combined with the ease of use as a result of having this card also in the deck just seems so much easier than using Bank Job. Now, if I wasn't 419, I think it becomes a bit more of a discussion, but I can't help but think there's available knowledge to be gained from other cards I can be using. Like, I don't know. I just feel like it's almost better even to guess and just simply use the one click and say, at worst, I lost a credit. Because as the meta moves towards having single servers that are much harder to break into, Bang Job becomes incredibly less valuable. Like, Bang Job pretty much becomes the most valuable when they have a naked server, right?
Yep.
For the most part. But if they don't have a naked server, then, yeah, I mean, you are just... Bang Job kind of just sits, where at the very least you can hedge some bets. I pay one, and that is an agenda. All right, I missed that time. That's okay. I missed that time, but I won't miss next time. I'm going to shoot my shot. I'm going to make it next time.
Well, I like
it's complicated.
Next time, because do you have two creds in hand? We're going to be like, pay one, expose this card. It's an agenda. Oh, it's an upgrade. Then you're just going to go next turn, pay one. It's an upgrade. Yeah, 5 credits. I'm winning.
Right, yeah, exactly.
That's an interesting point, yeah, if you expose the same thing twice. I want to point out someone in chat actually made a really good point that maybe answers your earlier question, Jameson, which is saying to most of the time name agenda, because as they said, you gain the credits for the run when you need them, right? So if you're right and it's an agenda, you're like, sweet, I just got 4 credits. Maybe that's the difference maker to go and get that agenda. I think that's pretty good logic. Yeah. Someone else also pointed out the expose is a turtle counter. So there you go. If you run that turtle. So I'm just saying this card's got value all over the place.
Yeah, so to answer my question, I do really like this card over Bank Job more. I do like it for the... I'm a sucker for the double value out of it, the expose and the money. It's an interesting play, though, and I think it's going to be dependent on a few things. But that expose effect, I mean, it's got 419 on there, but I mean, depending on how quickly they play and what's going on, you might not really be getting much use out of that expose effect. You know, it all depends on how they're playing you within 419. But I mean, obviously, like outside of 419, that expose is a lot cooler too. So definitely like falsified credentials. I think that this has got legs in I think it's got legs in almost any criminal deck.
Yeah, I think it's worth a look. If your deck needs a little more money, that's pretty fast, and if you're running the turtle, like, go for it.
Yeah,
it's good stuff.
Well, also it's a great learning curve. I mean, remember, we're still got a lot of new people that are trying to jump in this game, and expose is something that's really helping new players. So I would say that, you know, new players look. I find a lot of new players kind of gravitate towards criminal anyway. So just slam these in your deck, and it will drastically increase your learning curve for this game. No doubt about it.
100%. Good call there. Crete, sweet. All right, let's head over to more Crim tech. I'm really interested to hear what you guys think about this card.
I want to hear what you guys think about. Who is that? That face on that card looks so damn familiar, man.
On Rogue Trading?
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you saying that's like an FFG employee?
No,
or what?
I swear that like looks like some actor that I've seen in a movie one time, or
an actor. I don't know. I'll have to think about it. I'm not sure. Well, he's looking cool. He's in front of a cool crowd, and he's got the money because it's a zero-cost criminal resource. Uh-oh. It says when you install it, place 18 credits from the bank on Rogue Trading. Okay. And when there's no credits left on it, trash it. All right. And the ability is 2 clicks, and you take 6 credits from Rogue Trading, so that's pretty good. But then you also take a tag.
What? Why? What?
And it's 2 influence.
What?
So it's that last line there that makes this conversation interesting, and I'm curious how you guys think this card is going to pan out.
I'm trying to wrap my head around it because, since the rotation, runner economy has been slowed down.
is that him right there? Are you guys seeing on stream?
Hold on, let me see if I can.
Is this the dude I'm thinking of?
Idris?
Oh, that's not Idris Elba. No.
That's the guy from Gladiator, right there.
Oh my god, dude.
That's what that reminds me of.
It's funny.
Like, someone in chat just did the math for me, but all right. So
I delayed long enough for you to
click. It installs for 0. So 1 click to install, you lose a click there, and then you say 2 clicks.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 3 clicks. You'll gain 6. You take a tag. You got to remove the tag.
Mm-hmm.
So, is that? Help me. Is that for me? The first time I use this, is that 4 clicks for 4 credits? Right? Am I
First
nuts?
time. Yeah. No, that's right. That's accurate.
How is that at all good? Hello? I could just click for 4, right? Like, am I insane? I could click for 4.
Yeah, but on your next turn, you could spend 3 clicks for 4 credits, and then you could spend 3 clicks for 4 more credits.
So, I don't know how you. Okay. So let's discuss options. Clearly, I think the economy gain here is it's hella bad. So I think it's hella bad. So maybe if you have a way to remove tags outside of just clicking for them, or you just float them, does that make it better? It's 2 because 2 clicks for 6. I like that. That rhymes, by the way. 2 clicks for 6.
Yeah.
I think 2 clicks for 6 isn't bad, right? That seems good. But the only way that works is if I don't ever die from enemy damage. So basically, I guess it's this is. I'm going all over the place to summarize. This economy
can the tag can be avoided though.
It can be, yeah, but
yeah,
it's not like if you don't take the tag, the whole thing hasn't fulfilled and all that gibberish, right?
Right, but it's so
we've seen weirder rulings before. You know what I mean? That
right.
Yeah. But I strongly feel the tag can be avoided. I just getting the whole consensus here.
Yeah, it just feels like okay, so the base credit economy on this, if you're removing the tags, absolute garbage. Like dog shit. It's horrible. Like sorry, not family friendly right now. Like this is a horrible economy card. If you are able to float the tag, or there's a way you can mitigate the tags, here's my problem. So to float the tag, you'd have to add additional cards to remove the tag, you have to have additional cards to help get rid of it. So what's the cost there in your deck? Like the cards that remove tags have to also be beneficial enough to be worth the include.
Mhm.
Because those take clicks to play, and they can't just simply be just remove a tag, because that's, you're not really trading value necessarily. Like, the value still gets really muddled up in all the actions necessary to remove the tag or to prevent the tag.
Mhm.
So I would need to see a card that allows me to remove tags and gain something when I remove tags to make this economy card that generates a tag worth it. Right?
Oh, and do I have the answer for you, Hollis? Oh boy, do I have the deck for you! So, I brought a deck this past Sunday that specifically used this card, and it was all right. And here's what we were doing: we were using Citadel Sanctuary, and Power Tap.
Oh God! All right. Okay.
Oh,
I mean,
God. But here's the thing: it was also a Security Nexus deck, so it had a legitimate plan, right? Get your money up, get down Security Nexus, roll out, destroy face because you're running and bypassing ice for 0. Like, that's all nice. And those are Nexus decks already exist, right? So get on all that link, having a Citadel Sanctuary or 2 in your deck, that's already a deck outside of this card. So for those decks that are already running that specific set of tech, which is not unheard of and it's not bad, it's slow, but it's not bad, you have the built-in solution to take advantage of this card and clear that tag with ease. That's what I'm saying to you. Maybe it's not the deck for everybody. Maybe it's not, top tier, but I've been running Nexus decks for the past few months, and this card legitimately fits into that archetype.
With your bad publicity alt-art Security Nexus?
Oh, see, yeah, I would otherwise, but there's a misprint on that alt-art, Jameson. I can't run it because it doesn't have, I think it doesn't have the MU symbol or the link symbol or something, so sorry, man. It's a beautiful card. I can't run it. But yeah, shout out to Nexus players because take a look at this. It makes sense there. I'll agree with you though. For most criminals, for most decks, this card does not make sense. So I am totally with you there.
This is. Do you remember Lawyer Up?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like, as weird as it is, I feel like cards like Lawyer Up kind of have to exist for this card to make sense, right? Like, cards like Lawyer Up, with the time, Lawyer Up said, was it remove 2 tags, draw 3 cards for, was it 2? I could be wrong about the cost. But that made Lawyer Up worked in a world where tag mitigation / floating tags wasn't already amazing. If Waylon was at a higher power level or tag punishment was at a higher power level at the time, I would imagine cards like Account Siphon would still be very good, but we would see a more prevalent use of cards like Lawyer Up, which said remove those tags and draw cards. So you just kind of keep that flow, the cycle going. But they never really made tag punishment so bad without ample mitigation that cards like Lawyer Up was ever really necessary. So I feel like where we are now, let's flip it. If that's what they're trying to do now, we need to see the card that does that, I think.
Oh man, wouldn't it be crazy if there's a card that both removes 1 tag and draws you cards?
That'd be crazy. Hey, let's ask Dan. Somebody call Dan.
Dan?
So Dan, where you at?
I need to get rid of this tag, Dan. What am I gonna do?
Help me out, Dan, please.
I need to draw cards, Dan. Come on. What's happening?
No, right.
Again, niche, but that also works. So that's all I got for you. It is weird, but that's the synergy, I guess. If you're interested.
So I have a few things. Number one, FFG has printed alt arts in the past that have been full bleed and have left stuff off, and people still play it because they just know the cards. So that's number one. Number two is I agree with the first few seconds of Hollis' statements. I think that this card right now is just nowhere near as good enough to play as other cards. I think that, yes, you can do the Power Tap Citadel Sanctuary, but now you're looking for a 3-card combo to get value, and I hope you draw them in the right order. Or else, this is laying around kind of wonky. You're going to have a pile of credits on a card staring you in the face, and you don't want to take it because you're not properly set up. Especially when you're flipping through cards and you've passed falsified credentials, gone on to rogue trading as you open your pack, then you go back to falsified credentials, and you're just like, why am I just not getting it exposed in 5 and pulling the 5 credits from here? I think this is going to have a place. I think this is going to have a place in Tag Me style decks. I think that this is probably better home in some kind of weird Anarch builds that are going to come through. They're going to probably see a better return on being tagged than what Criminal does. I don't really feel like Criminal likes to hold tags as much as other factions have been able to in the past. That's not to say it can't. I just feel that other factions can camp tags a lot better. So putting 2 influence, moving this over into Criminal, this is a balanced play. I don't see much value out of this card at this moment. I mean, you might as well put down Armitage Code Busting and click some credits off it.
We don't talk garbage about Armitage Code Busting, okay?
I'm not. I just saying.
No, we're here. No, I'm just kidding.
Armitage has saved my bank more than once, man, being a neutral.
Yeah. There you go. Fair enough. Interesting stuff.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's move on to another unusual 0-cost card. This is Because I Can.
Well said.
So shapery. 1 influence. Okay. And it says make a run on a remote server. If successful, instead of accessing cards, you may force the corp to shuffle all cards in that server into R&D.
This looks familiar.
Yeah, have we seen this before?
Have we seen this? It's almost like it reminds me of a card that used to cost 4. It's crazy. And it used to be a double, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh,
I think it used to be a double that cost 4.
What is that? Is that Singularity or something like that?
Yeah, I think that was it.
Look it up.
I think that's almost exactly it, right?
Well, Singularity got moved to revised core, so.
Yeah, and Singularity does trash the cards. Instead of shuffling them.
Yeah, it's still a double.
Yeah, but it's a double that costs 4. You're right.
And
it doesn't have nice raccoons on it.
Successful.
So not as good.
Yeah, not as nearly as attractive. Not nearly as attractive. Not nearly as fun either. Not nearly as cute.
So, as cute and fun as this card may be, do you guys actually see yourselves running this card?
I do not.
I tried. I tried so bad. It's like, hey, what do you guys think about this compared to?
I mean, I know that you probably have a couple cool ways to get some shuffles of R&D, but I mean, I think that's such a stretch to put this in just to get some stuff shuffled back. I mean.
Yeah, but aren't you also dealing with something in a remote server that could be causing you a lot of problems? Like a Jeeves model Blyroid, right? It's sitting out there. It's not protected, but the corp's like, you got to pay 5 for this? And you're like, gosh, I can't pay 5 for it. So you check R&D, then you Because I Can, shuffle it back in. Even you've almost trashed it, right? You've at least gotten it off the board. So in a way...
You've reset board state, okay.
Well, it's the equivalent of the 5 credits you would have spent to trash it, but you didn't spend 5 credits, you spent 0. And you get a fresh access on R&D. Like, I agree. I don't see myself playing this card. I'm just saying, I don't think that it has no value.
No, it's got a value of 1.
It's got a value of
One
what's the most
influence.
expensive a remote server? I don't know. If you get one of those Super Friends servers, you know, the ones like Ash and Batty and Prysec and whatever else. Like this against Prysec, I actually think that's kind of nice. You're like, shoot, they've got 2 Prysec in that server. How the heck am I going to do anything? Or Obokata Protocol. Oh my gosh, Obokata and Ben Musashi, they're all sitting all there in their remote like, oh, can't steal this, takes 6 net damage. And you're like, fine. Shuffle that back in. Shuffle it out of here. Get out of my face.
I just, for those situations, I just don't feel like I'm putting a card in my deck to come across the percentage that I might see that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And obviously, I mean, if you are criminal, I think, you know, you have the option to run Singularity, and maybe trashing is better than shuffling it back in. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't really see a lot of people play with Singularity that much, even though that card was available to us in dire times. And this card here, you know, even though they've kind of rebalanced it around and painted it green, I can still see it. I mean, it's still lipstick on a pig, man.
Hey, but it's got great flavor text, though. At least this time around, the graphic was family friendly. Well played.
Yeah. I mean, to me, the biggest selling point of the card is quite just simply, if you talk about like disparity, right? Like card, like basically the overall cost. Singularity is a 4 cost double, which while trash is, you have to ask yourself like, how beefy was that server, right? Like, for that to make sense, you're investing then you pay for the rest of the run, and then you've lost an additional click already. So, I mean, even if you rationalize that 6, 7, 8 credits on top of whatever you pay for the run, that whatever was in that server would have had to be expensive enough to say, all right, trashing all this was worth it. I think in some instances, shuffling right back may even be better.
Well,
yeah.
I think it's going to be a meta call. Okay, so because I think Paul basically summed it up in chat. If you're going against CTM, and CTM's looking pretty good, I feel like after all these adjustments and stuff that's been coming out for it. So if you can beat CTM without getting it to trigger and removing some stuff off the board, moving some things into, you know, doing an old board wipe against it, okay, it's got value. But if CTM doesn't catch on as something that's going to be big and prevalent, I just feel that there's better slots in your deck than because I can. But hey, prove me wrong. Wouldn't be the first time.
Well, we had similar points about Marathon, right? The last remote focus shaper card, that it's like right now, I don't know if you run it, but if asset spam ever becomes as crazy as it has been in the past, like all of a sudden shapers are these gatekeepers of the meta check of shapers go, all right, I'll run Marathon, I'll run because I can, and I'll now have sweet tools to deal with all your crazy remotes. Like, there you go. So these cards existing now presents that options to players that I think is really cool, particularly against stuff like CTM. Like that's kind of nice.
Cool. I got nothing else.
Sweet. All right. Let's keep it rolling. We're moving on to our last shaper card here. This is Nyashia, a program to install 1 MU3 influence. It says place 3 power counters on Nyashia when it is installed. Whenever you access cards from R&D, you may remove 1 hosted power counter to access 1 additional card from R&D. I think multi-access has a pretty good history in Netrunner as being worth a look. So I think this card is worth a look.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we're seeing what we expected come out of Shaper, right? Because we keep seeing this keep getting added, pack after pack now. I think didn't the last pack also have something that allowed an additional access already, I believe? I could be wrong. Maybe thinking of someone else or the previous pack before it. Oh God. Once I'll come back to it later. But in short, I feel like we're seeing this sort of like incremental like addition of a multi-access, right?
Yeah,
it's not.
That's where I was going to, buddy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, take it away though. You're good, but I feel the same. I feel exactly the same.
Yeah, we're not seeing like this huge bulk like access 12 cards from R&D, but we are seeing the options that come out where now it's hey, access 1 additional, but only over the next, in this case, once for the next 3 times you use these power counters, right? So access 1 additional. And then, hey, this other card accesses 1 additional. And then there's this other card over here that lets you access 1 additional. Like, that's what we're starting to see is incremental. And I kind of like the way this is shipping out because it feels like it's not as unlimited as it has been in the past. The mere fact that this card even has 3 power counters on it and then it runs out is sort of, to me, like a sort of testament to that. And the fact that the overall number of recursion cards that allow you to recur these programs has been reduced. Like it's this to get this benefit, unlike a card like R&D Interface, right? To gain this benefit, you're going to lose one of your existing MU. You're going to lose one of your existing MU. You are going to have to pay what I think is a reasonable install cost, and you can only use it once per turn. It's not like in the medium days where you get 12. 6, 7, 8 accesses in one go. You're actually going to be limited to the number of times this card gets used, then it runs out. And I like that. I like multi-access. I just don't think I'm a fan of it in mass, like what we had seen previously. And I'm happy that we're seeing it kind of this incrementally.
I think that you're going to have to readjust, buddy, because I think that, I'm definitely obviously a fan of multi-access. Multi-access is a win condition. That is prevalent in Netrunner. I think all of us who played before are going to look at that as the glory days of multi-access, and this is definitely the design team controlling how multi-access is going forward. The card that you were talking about is that Xer. The Anarch version of this, it was mentioned in chat as well. Whenever you access cards from R&D, access 1 additional card, but it gets trashed on Purge. So it has its own flavor, condition for the faction that it sits in. Shaper being a power counter faction. We'll have 3 of them to use. If this is what multi-access is going to be like going forward, this is what multi-access is going to be like. It's peaks and valleys for me, man. Peaks and valleys, because I feel like it being a program hurts. I really used to like R&D Interface, not being Shaper. I used to like having my program space in my MU not being clogged up by things that were not like icebreakers or SMCs. But that being said, being a program does play into Shaper's abilities to be able to call this, last minute, put it out, bump something, surprise, gonna burn a power counter now. And now you know that like the next 2 times though it's not going to be such a surprise. But like I said, if this is what we're getting for multi-access, then I guess we have to be happy. But I think it's going to be lackluster for the people that lived in the glory days of medium, all the interfaces, and everything else. And I think it's a smart decision for the game, because I mean, like those chained multi-access cards did create negative play experience for anyone that had that played at a high level or even at a beginner level against a medium with a crap ton of counters on it already, and if they're looking at 10 cards and you're just like, oh my god, is this over yet? Like
Right.
it's really hard to dig out of something like that. So this is controlling, this is where it is, but that's all. I got really nothing else. If this is multi-access, then let's just be happy with it. But I don't think it's super crazy. I don't think it's super under crazy. It's gonna fit a niche and shaper, and that's what you're gonna get.
Yeah, I definitely agree that it's, way more toned down than what we've seen in the past. But I actually do think there are a couple of sweet synergies with this card that exist out of shaper that are pretty reasonable and already being run. First of all, I think this is a great Aesop's Pawn Shop target. If your deck is already leaning into an Aesop strategy, you're like, sweet, I'll use up the power counters on this, and then I'll sack it for 3. That's not bad. I also think this is really nice to scavenge. Like, I don't know if you guys have played with scavenge recently, but I think that card is really good. And this is just another scavenge target. Either to scavenge it to make another one and refill the counters, or to get something like a Lady, or a David, or a Magnum Opus if it got trashed. That ability to recur things, also pretty nifty. And then the last synergy I've been thinking about with this card that I just can't get out of my mind is putting it in a Calvinisa Woo deck. Like, the ability to click 1, go get this, and then spend the next 3 clicks going to town on R&D, and then it removes itself from the game. You're like, whatever. I got it for 1. I go to town on R&D. I'm good to go. I'm Calvinisa Woo. Like, I think that's actually really nice for that ID.
Better hope they don't ice that R&D first turn 1 then, huh?
Maybe they won't. Anyway. But yeah, you see what I mean. Like, I think there are enough built-in shapery things that you can do with this card that it's not going to, blow any minds. It's not going to blow the faction wide open, but I think it's going to slot into a decent number of decks pretty easily.
Yeah, I agree. The same amount that ran R&D interface. If your win condition is multi-access, this plays into it. So it's going to be there, and it's also not going to be there at the same time.
Oh, wow. Schrodinger's R&D interface.
Yeah, blowing minds.
All right, so let's round this thing off. Let's head back to the final card. We'd seen our first Apex card, Assimilator, first pack. Then we had some emergent creativity out of Adam. We moved over to Sunny, and it looks like we're coming back around to our boy Apex, or I guess he's not a boy, he's an it. Anyway, we got Consume here. Consume is a virus program. It's 2 to install. It's 0 MU and 5 influence. And it says, whenever you trash a corp card, you may place 1 virus counter on Consume. You can spend a click and gain 2 credits for each posted virus counter. Then remove all virus counters from Consume. Oh boy. So the first time you trash a corp card, it pays for itself. And then every time after that, that's some money. That is some money. But does Apex need the money? I don't know. I'm not an Apex player. What do you guys think? Is this the spicy Apex tech? Is this going to be 3 of Apex all time, all day Consume, or I don't know.
Yeah, I'm really torn on this one here. This is the one that I've probably flipped the most in my hand thinking about it.
Why is that?
Because I don't know if he actually needs it. I don't.
Right.
I don't know if every card that has come out for these mini factions, it's been like auto include. You know, like I'm going to put that card in. You know, Sunny's going to play with her new stuff. Adam's going to play with his new stuff, and it obviously Adam, it makes him way better. Sunny is still consistent. It plays into her fold, but unlike the other Apex card we've seen, which was like, yes, I was like, slot that in. This one here is the one that I'm like, I don't know if it is actually doing anything to improve the state of Apex at this given time.
Interesting. So,
oh, go ahead. No, please go. Please go. Do not let me go.
Okay. I want to point out that I am pretty sure that this combos with Apocalypse. Just want to put that out there. So
yeah, I was thinking that too, but I'm not 100% sure that.
So it does work. It's been clarified here in the unofficial FAQ that gains the virus counters from trashing all those Apocalypse cards. Then it's flip face down. The counters stay on consume.
Okay, yes.
And then you can flip it back over with Assimilator, which you already said was a cool card worth running. So that it in fact does work. But it's slow. You make a lot of money.
So that's,
but it's slow.
And I've already said, and even in this one, you know, here about the man, what was that criminal card?
Rogue trading.
Yes, right. You know, where you're talking about like a 3-piece card combo, and this, and we're in the same boat here. Is just, and I know those cards are obviously, if you're running Apex, I think you put Apocalypse in, but there's certain times to play APOC and to open up your your windows of attack. And if this card isn't out and you're forced to spend Apocalypse cards at those times, or you're holding it, I think that's kind of tripping you around. And then having the card to flip back, hoping that you already didn't have that on the table doing some other stuff too, because that pretty much now it's flipped itself. So I don't...
I agree with you. That amount of cards in the combo, it's a tough sell. Riddle me this, though. How do you feel about a Knobkierie Apex deck?
Why are you doing this to me, Alec?
I'm just putting that out there. Like, the combo exists.
Why are you doing this?
You can make a run, get 2 credits.
Why are you doing this?
I mean, are you going to talk about Friday chip Apex decks next too?
Hey, we've already established that Imp and Knobkierie is a powerful combo. Yeah. So, I don't know if Apex wants to spend all of its influence on that combo. It's a lot of value.
And see, and I think that this is where you get into the problem with a card like this and with Apex. It's not so much that, so my problem here is not so much that this card, like I can see a card like this. Yes, you're getting value. Yes, it fits Apex's style. Yes, it's doing all that, but I feel like it needs to be evaluated more in the deck that it's in. And I think when you're doing that, you're kind of now pigeonholing yourself, like spending your influence, because anyone who has used these mini factions know how quickly that influence goes. And so now what you're doing is trying to pull in combo pieces for cards that I don't feel like are so much Apex's win condition, and they're more like support, and that's going to limit your deck building scope for the rest of it. I'm really going to have to honestly like saturate on this a lot more, but I just don't, other than that Apocalypse combo, flipping things back and doing stuff, like I just don't think that Apex needed all that
Yeah, I think you're spot on. And the thing that I think this doesn't necessarily address, which I've always found to be the problem with Apex, I can't tell you the number of times I've played as the Corp against an Apex deck, and they're starting to build up all of their face down cards, and they got their heartbeat, and they find their program, Endless Hunger, they're ready to go, and then I win the game.
Yes, because
right?
I was just going to say that you're not...
Like, I'm done.
Yeah.
And this doesn't speed you up. In fact, it's 2 credits to drop that you're not spending to win the game faster, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what he needs. He needs to get set up faster, and I don't know.
And then also, I mean, I know it could be a mute point, but this is it's a click and gain. So now you're looking at your timings for things, on what you can do in a turn, because again, you're not getting that tempo boost. Alec, 100 and billion trillion % is what Apex needed, is more of a boost to its ability to set up quicker, and it's more of a tempo boost to actually start attacking quicker.
Yeah, this doesn't help.
This doesn't help that, because now what you're doing is you're handicapping yourself almost on how you're going to play this card in the whole setup of, okay, I'm going to apocalypse and do stuff, because you cannot let virus, like that amount of viruses, sit for a whole turn, because you know what people do when there's a lot of viruses on counters on a card is they're just going to purge it away. So I mean,
right.
The whole aspect of this card, for all the setup that you're doing to it, could just pretty much be purged.
Yep.
Yeah. I just don't. I mean, I'm just gonna keep it. I don't know. I'm like the way I pretty much feel about it is, I feel like in general, the level of which we'd have to, for this to work and for this to be useful, to summarize what it sounds like all of us are saying, the level of which we'd have to build the deck in order to be able to make this card incredibly useful, either doesn't seem worth it, or B, is not developed enough yet. It would be cool if later, if this presents itself in a way that makes it awesome, that it generates this amazing economy for Apex, but at the present moment, it doesn't, and it makes you question, hey, even at 5 pips, the intention is for the card to be good, but is it? And I think the answer is just no, not right now. It's just not. No. I don't see a deck being built where you put this in and it's a rational plan.
You know what's very interesting is that somewhere back in the day, like those decks that that were just eating through ice, like no matter what people put down, it was just like boosh, 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 like fork, spoon, knife, trash, parasite, boom, gone, blah blah, and it didn't you just couldn't do anything. A lot of those decks potentially could run mostly all Anarch cards. It would be very, very interesting to see if anybody can incorporate Consume, being so heavily on influence, pull it out of faction, and see the kind of synergy that's built outside of faction, because you might be able to get more return on investment there than what it's really doing for Apex by itself. But again, that's like, put that one in the lab. Put that one in the lab, and just you're gonna have to cook that.
Or hand it to our favorite professor.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Right, but I've seen Apex. Just to summarize, I haven't seen them that much having a problem with the money aspect of it as it has been with a speed boost. And this is not. I'd rather have a speedier Apex than a richer Apex.
Here's my last word on this card. Here's what I'll say.
Yeah, man.
And this might sound like a not a very nice comment, but I mean it with the most sincerity I can.
I love to hear this from you. Go there.
It takes only certain people will run Apex decks. And I think, and I may be generalizing, it's the kind of player who wants those big moments. They want to go off. They want to come at you with this enormous board and just destroy all your stuff. They live for apocalypse turns, right? Like that's why you run Apex. And a card like this comes along and we see it and we go, the synergy's there, but it's slow and you got to have the right things at the right time. But to certain players who are already running Apex, honestly, I think for a lot of them, they hear Apocalypse works with this card, and you could flip it and gain 20, 30 credits, whatever, and their eyes go wide, right? So for the kind of player who's fascinated by the potential of moments like that, I'm glad this card exists for those players. Because those moments are pretty sweet if they happen. Yeah. So, well, yeah. So hopefully, a couple Apex players give us a try, and see how it goes. Maybe it'll go off.
But and so my last point, my PSSSSSS is that there has never been a more card out there that I would like to be proven wrong about.
I'm with that. I'll co-sign that. I'll co-sign on that one, Jameson.
Prove us wrong, Apex players. Show us the good stuff. Consume all of our boards. And make us cry.
Not even Apex players. Like I said, I think there's if you can do this, there's enough cards out there to sometimes sustain a pure all faction deck. And if you got influence, pull this in and rock it, man. There's going to be a lot of virus synergy out there, and maybe something comes along that just makes this better.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So if that's the case, cool concept of a card, but just I just think it's too hard to get good value out of economy card like this.
Yeah. Word.
There you have it. There's a runner side for the Devil and the Dragon. Yeah. Cool stuff.
Yeah.
Cool stuff, Inc.
Oh man, that sponsorship is not.
Throw it all out, man. Throw it all. I'll take it where I can get it. I'll wear any shirt. Send me shirt.
Yeah, with all this cool stuff.
Your logo here. Your logo here. Guys, thank you very much for taking your time to join us to run these fresh cards down. We really appreciate it. Appreciate all the support. If you've liked a couple of these cards that we have talked about, give us a thumbs up down below. That's all we're asking for this time. That's all we need. Subscribe. Hit the bell so you don't miss when we go live on Wednesdays. Catch up for new content. Thank you very much. I'll turn the torch over to these guys for their closing thoughts. But we will catch you not next week for those people who follow live. Next week we are MIA. I am MIA. But the week after we will come back to your regularly scheduled programming. Thank you very much.
Cool.
I'll pass it.
Thanks, guys.
I'll pass the stick up to Alec. Say what you need to say.
Hey, some cool new cards. Go ahead and give 419 a try, folks out there, and leave a comment on this video if you play that new ID, and start telling us what you think. We're going to be doing an ID breakdown in a little bit, and give us your initial thoughts and impressions of the new ID. I'm curious.
Cool.
Hollis?
Man. Yeah. We'll see you next time.
Hey everybody, thanks for all the love and support over the past few weeks in Facebook and in giving us your feedback for things you want to see in the channel as well as features and additions you'd like to see added later. If you would please continue to like, comment, subscribe, as YouTube would recommend. Smash that like button and continue giving us feedback as far as like what you want to see us talk about. Like if you guys want to see us have a deck tech episode or just other discussion about aspects of the game, We're also looking at getting some more guests for you guys and having some very cool special friends of ours come say hi and laugh it up with us and enjoy some nonsense. That's what that we engage with. So if you join the stream live, thank you so much for joining. If you are listening to this later, just know that I love you, but I love you less, and I hope that sticks long enough so you watch it live. But I really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for the support. Very much appreciate it. Share, like, and subscribe.
Got there.
Never gets old. Later, everybody. Good night, Neverland.